they're always having some kind of fund drive, or they're asking for money here or supplies there. It's just, everybody's Walgreens asked for $1. This company asked for $2. McDonald's asked for money. Got Ronald McDonald House, and they do a really nice job, by the way, like what Ronald McDonald House does. So I'm not dissing it. I'm just saying that nothing's cheap, folks. Nothing comes for free, and you know that. And there's nothing different about the broadcast. So we're just kind of thinking over some things, our business plan, how we've presented for the people to you, and also the business plan that was kicked off with For the People with Chuck back in the 90s with memberships and things like that. It's not the same day because there were fewer programs back then. Truthfully, there were fewer shows back then when Chuck was on the air. A lot of these talk show hosts now actually were guests of Chuck's that have shows now. Some of the big, well-known names, and they weren't even known. They didn't even know they were going to be hosts themselves, but Chuck, paved the way for so many people. I was already a host before I worked with Chuck. I was already doing a talk show in Memphis, and big 50,000-watt radio station, WCRV. Great experience, and did some other talk shows before then. But Chuck did give me opportunity on the network, which was huge, and I'll never forget his kindness and his generosity through the years to be a benevolent father to me when my dad tragically died of a heart attack, and he was the president of the People's Radio Network. My dad, who worked for ABC, Capital Cities back then, before Disney owned them, went to work for Chuck to help him, to lead him, to direct him, and he died of a massive heart attack, 98% blockage in his arteries. That's why I always tell adults, get checked, get a blood test to see where your what your cholesterol is, because that can kill you if you get clogged up like that, and people say, well, I don't want to take medications and all that. Well, you can turn around with exercise and diet and things like that. And sometimes, you see those commercials when diet and exercise are not enough. You might have to take something. The bottom line is protect yourself. You are important to those around you. So if you see it that way, then maybe you'll protect yourself. And I have anytime just about that I have mentioned something like this in that regard where people kind of look at themselves, I'll always have somebody that writes me and says, thank you for saying that, because I just went to my doctor and I found out I actually had a clogged artery. They went in, roto-rootered it, and you don't have to be old to have this happen, folks, okay? My brother, younger than me, early 40s, had a clogged artery or 2 or 3. Now, he was a smoker, okay? My dad was a smoker. That kind of, if you have a predisposition for it. But even though I've met people that weren't smokers, just not good diets or hereditary, get checked, folks. It's just the right thing to do. We want you to be around. That's the bottom line. If I can encourage you, we can save a life, save yours. Believe me, your spouse, your kids will be relieved that you did. Come on, I know it's scary to go to a doctor, but just get those things checked out through a blood test. Have them listen to your heart. Let them do an EKG. They can do a scan now. They can see what's going on, and it's so routine now, folks. Don't let it hurt you to do the roto-rooters, the angioplasties, to get the junk out of your arteries and put you on some medication and make some life changes. A friend of this broadcast, Nevin Gussick, he was actually having some pain in his chest, and his wife told him to go to the hospital. Same thing. I don't think he had a heart attack. He could have had a fatal one like my dad. The Widowmaker is what they called it. Just in time, got him in there. He was headed towards a heart attack. They cleaned him up, and he sounds good as new. He's taking care of himself, eating well. I mean, he's got a young child. He's got a great career. great writer. He's been, Nevin, he's been on the broadcast before he's been a guest, but young guy, younger than me. All right, so take care of yourself. Take care. My dad was an engineer. He took care of everybody else. Great dad. Yeah, took care of his kids, but he didn't take good care of himself. You know anybody like that? Sounds like you, right? Go see your doctor. And if you find something and says, they can fix it, folks. That's what they do. Let them do it. Don't be nervous. What's nervous is you not being around and everybody else mourning your death. And that's not good. Here's a little charge for you, okay? Now, here's a woman that was out of her gourd. Literally. I don't know what happened to this woman when she woke up, but she decided she wanted to go over to an eatery and have a little meal or lunch or something like that. And a U.S. military veteran happened to be in the restaurant at the time when this lady came in. Had a service dog. You ever see a service dog? Yeah, I'm not offended. Are you offended? I always say to myself, oh, nice dog. Well, this happened in Delaware City, Delaware, at a restaurant last week. And this woman, her name is Kyra Miller. And she was one patron who wasn't having it, and it was a big scene. It almost sounds like something out of Jerry Springer. So there you go. I'll just set it up a little bit for you.
I'm not going to keep my opinion to myself. I'm going to voice it just like I did. There's nothing you can do about it. No, it's nothing. It's okay. I'm leaving because the food is nasty and there's a dog. So what? What do you want to do about it? Nothing.
Hey, he's alive because he fought for our country.
Congratulations! Congrats! So did my husband's dad. My husband's dad did too. What's your point?
Because he's alive.
My husband's dad fought for the country. What's your point?
He has a
so what? It's still nasty to me. I don't care.
No, it's not.
It's nasty to me. You can't change.
What do you recommend?
You can't change my goddamn opinion. So I don't care. It should be a separate section for the animal.
Well, make it all up.
Separate section for animals. Shut the hell up. If you care about your
Stop.
Are you going to make me?
Just stop.
Are you going to make me?
Just stop.
I didn't think so.
It's enough.
I didn't think so. I didn't think so.
Hey,
It's enough.
I didn't think so. What do you want to do?
Hey.
Nothing, so shut the hell up.
Hey, why don't you just calm down for 30
Nothing, so
seconds?
shut the hell up. Like I said, it's
Why don't you just stop and just calm
Then you have
down?
a choice to go someplace else.
She came over here.
You got a choice to go someplace else.
What the hell do you think I'm doing? Until the whore behind you stopped me, I was happily moving somewhere else. Okay, but don't get into my goddamn face when my daughter's standing there. I don't give a. That's rude.
Well,
You call me a whore? You are a bitch. That's what you are for being. You're approaching me in front of my goddamn child. You're more than a whore. You're a bitch.
approached you in a
Yes,
nice
you approached
manner
me.
to
No, you
explain
didn't
federal
approach.
law,
No,
and
excuse
you're
you.
asking
You didn't
loud.
ask me a question. You came at me. It's the difference. I got no problem with answering a question. You came at me. So guess what? You gotta come as a threat. I'm gonna make sure I address it. Dumbass bitch. You got the right one. Like I said, it's gross. Bitch.
oh, get the last word, bitch.
Stop. It's enough.
I'm sorry?
Gotta get the last
I don't
word.
care. Record me. And like I said, it's disgusting to have an animal inside of a public restaurant. And if it
Why
is
are you
here,
asking the food
it
for
should
your
be
child?
disclosed at a sectional
You
area.
need to go get your
No
child.
that.
Not the
No
law.
that.
Category.
No
You
that.
don't
It's
know
still
the
my
law.
bitch. It's my opinion. And it's not going to
Hey, Chad,
change.
your opinion
You
doesn't
ain't going to
matter.
change it. You. None of y'all going to change it. I think it's gross. I think it's gross. I think it's gross.
I wasn't in this at all.
Do not get up. Do not get up. Get out now. Get out of my face.
Don't do
Get out of my
it.
face.
Don't
Get out of my face.
Don't
You
do it.
stop.
This is beneath us. This is
Stop.
beneath us.
Stop.
This is beneath us.
John,
This is
don't
beneath
do it,
us.
John.
Stop.
Don't do it.
Beneath us.
Just relax it now.
Everybody just stop.
Yeah.
Everybody just stop.
Beneath us. Let it go.
Just stop.
Let it go.
Everybody go back to leave.
Just
Yeah,
stop.
just
go.
relax. Just
Everybody
let
just
it
calm
go.
down.
Just let it go. Just let it go.
Just stop.
Just let them go.
We have it on tape. You can request it, bitch.
All right. I mean, if that does not sound like a Jerry Springer episode, and I know that was a little tough for some of you to listen to because you're like, isn't this for the people? But there's a reason why I allowed you to hear this, because the patrons, and it was embarrassing, turn of events that happened at a restaurant in Delaware City, and I feel real bad, obviously, of the veteran that had a PTSD dog, and the veteran does suffer, from PTSD. And there are many returning veterans who do suffer serious wounds and injuries, as well as those veterans suffering from PTSD who listen to this broadcast. And you know it's real. And to have this woman literally go off in this manner, she didn't have to sit near the dog. She could have requested to sit at another place in the restaurant. She could have left the restaurant. But the restaurant was not in violation. It's Kathy's Crab House and Family Restaurant. And they responded in a statement. They said, "We would like to express at this time how sorry we are over the embarrassing turn of events that occurred earlier this week in our restaurant here in Delaware City. It's unfortunate that some of the public are not familiar with federal regulations regarding service animals, which in fact do permit service animals into establishments such as grocery stores, public buildings, and restaurants, giving aid and comfort to their masters in their time of need. That being said, we would like to take that what may have been perceived as a negative incident and turn this into a positive opportunity by educating and enlightening the public about the role of service animals and how they help and serve many returning veterans who have suffered serious wounds and injuries, as well as those veterans suffering from PTSD. So at this time, we'd like to announce that we will be sponsoring a fundraising effort for veterans and service animals through the Montana Wounded Warriors. We'd like to enlist your help as a sponsor, volunteer, or as a donor and help us enlighten and educate the public, as well as to help those veterans in need. Details need to be finalized at this time, but as they come together, we will make additional announcements to keep you appraised of our progress." I thought that was very classy. This woman was, I beeped out the F-bombs. You can say the B word in I'm sorry if it was offensive, but the F-bomb I totally deleted, probably about 8 to 10 times. And it's all over the internet. It's titled "Crazy Lady Argues." And it just, how offensive for any veteran or this poor veteran that literally gave everything and it suffers and then has to suffer again. But it's ignorance. But I'm so glad that this restaurant decided to honor not just this one veteran. They had to deal with this, unfortunately, and other patrons had to hear this. I mean, it was very, can you imagine going to dinner? And there's people that just wanted to beat, you know what, out of this woman. Grown men, you could see it in the video. It just, because of how offensive she was and how she just went off saying that the person needed to leave. And, of course, she said it was her opinion. Look, you don't like a certain place, the bottom line is get out. But that was just what we call ghetto fabulous. I mean, that was just so out there. It's painful, though, because there are people like her all over the country. She's not alone. There's just people that looking to go off on people for any reason whatsoever. And obviously, this woman's got some deep-rooted problems. Clearly, to see her like this, it's something. And I just say, seriously, folks, pray for the lady. It's better to pray for him. I mean, she's got something's wrong. I don't know what it is. Something happened to her. She got a chip on her shoulder. I don't know, but to put herself out there, I mean, she embarrassed herself more than anything, I think. And then her face it is seen by millions of people going off. But what's real sad about it is a lot of people are going to celebrate her. and laugh and just think it's just hilarious and celebrate and